Greetings to all. Marble, granite, silkstone, concrete, wallboard, sand, glass, and all the rest of the other things that comprise Mother Nature. As you can see, this is your young man coming from out in nature with a fourth part of my series that says, are you really in control of your emotions? And today, reason why I am here out in public, so you can see the representation of the buildings and everything else, the steel, all of this is nature. Why did I bring myself out in nature with the trees and everything? Why did I bring myself out in nature? That is because of my fourth topic. My fourth topic is parasites. So yes, you can find parasites there, especially if you're locked up with the AC on, the gelin, legionnaires. That's another name for those parasites that usually in those buildings. We're here in Florida. So for those that don't know, that is the worst form of pneumonia, and you get it through your AC system by having the windows closed and not open so the air can get some circulation. So that's one right there. Another one that you can find in buildings like this, and buildings like this, and buildings like this right here behind me is it's a fungus called black mold. Now, if you don't know about black mold is a thing that could make you hallucinate. Black mold could give you shortness of breath to when you try to walk a couple of steps and you would have to rest because you're tired. Black mold can give you obviously breathing problems, respiratory problems, cognitive problems to make you not think rationally, to make you not be able to think straight. So these are buildings in our modern cities that are literally killing us because of the parasites that are in those buildings. I just named two of the most dangerous ones that's out there, period. So you already know that, if you're from Florida anyways, you already know that within the past, say about 5 years, the tree had a parasite that would kill the coconut tree. Before, it was the orange trees and the lemon citrus trees that it used to kill. Trees get parasites, we get parasites. So these parasites can also allow for your body functions to be off in a way where you never expect bleeding from your nose. You never expect diarrhea coming from your stomach. You never expect your whole self to be weak and tired and all lethargic and just barely moving like something is wrong with you. Yes, something is wrong with you, but do you know what is wrong with you? Let's just say, for instance, the gelin, the legionnaires. It's a form of pneumonia from the Legionella bacterium. I had a lady one time, she's been going to the doctor for 6 months straight. Doctor couldn't tell her what to do. She would walk from her bedroom to her bathroom and be out of breath, have to sit down and rest. She would get a spell where she could not eat, and if she did eat, she couldn't keep the food down, the food would come back up. She would have energy deficiency all the time, could not concentrate nothing but for an hour or two every single day, period. She comes to me, I recognize it right away because of the symptoms, and generally most physicians are not they're not going to be able to diagnose something like this unless they use some type of diagnosis machine or some type of different test, which that's the last thing they think about. By me having experience and know what I'm doing for this long, I was able to point it out, and I was able to get that lady back on her feet within a week's time. It was actually less than a week's time, but I'm still trying to give it some credit. Within a week's time, she was able to get back all her credit, appetite, all her energy, appetite back, shortness of breath gone, energy deficiency gone, and overall health back within a week. These things are very, very dangerous when it comes to things like these. These are buildings that you have the AC unit in. And one of the reasons why I come out here, outside in nature, of course, my favorite office, is to bring awareness to this, because we're in this tropical environment, and we're figuring that just because we're in this tropical environment and I want to be up in the house all day long in AC, that's necessarily a good thing. Not necessarily. You literally can be killing yourself for not going out in the sun. By the way, the sun boosts your immune system. So if you're locked up in buildings like this all day long, recycling the air, recycling all the dust and all the fungus and all the mold that's inside those buildings, because that's what AC does. It conditions the air to recycle it. So when that is happening, you're not getting too much filtering happening, and what you're getting is a concentration of those things in the air. Say for instance, think about somebody going and sneezing in one of these buildings, in one of those rooms, and then you come behind that person, did not know that person sneezed, but the sneeze that they sneeze, they have all these things coming in the air, and now you come right behind them and start breathing that in. That's the first way it gets in. It can get in here, it can get in here, and it can get in here. So by knowing that, one of the first way you're going to get it is right here, and you're going to breathe it in. You're going to feel the little itchiness and the little scratchiness on your throat, because that is a sign. You're also going to feel the sinuses right around these areas interacting, feeling a little way funny. Before you know it, you start sneezing. Achoo! When you start sneezing, nobody didn't have to tell you you're getting something, you're getting something. So that's the normal cold and the normal flu. Those are also considered parasites, because they don't belong inside of you, but when they do come inside of you, they cause damage. So, in saying that, look out for these parasites. Most people think that parasites are only worms in your stomach. Parasites are not only worms. You have liver fluke, you have worms, you have bacteria, you have fungus, you have mold, you have viruses. All of these things could be considered parasites. So open your mind to the possibilities of what parasites are really are, because there's a lot of people out there. I would say about anywhere from 80 to 90% of people have parasites. That's a given. You know that stomach that you have right there, that you think you cannot really get rid of too much things, and it's hard to blah blah blah, and you just feel that urge around certain times of night to eat certain things, like the sweet up, and the fry up. Maybe you're not eating for you. Maybe you're eating for them. You know, after you finish eating, you feel that burning in your stomach. You're like, ah. Maybe after you finish eating, they come out and say, it's my turn now. And have you ever thought of looking at the full moon and saying, well, I notice every time the full moon comes around, my body starts acting a certain type of way. Well, guess what? They like the full moon because that's the time they come out to mate and breed. And yes, these things have a life cycle. So a life cycle could be like, you start off in the stomach, you go to the kidney, you go to the liver, you end up in the, let's say, the pancreas, and then the end of the life cycle is you go back into the stool and go out into nature. So yes, some of these things can start in the stomach. Then the larvae can bore through the stomach and go directly to the liver or the kidney. Then before you know it, they end up in your rectum or something like that. This is just an example. But this is the way that these parasites work. So what do I mean? I mean that if you have stomach problems, maybe you're going to have energy problems with it also. Because if you have these parasites inside of you going through your stomach lining, now that's leaky stomach. They call it leaky gut syndrome. Yes, parasite cause leaky gut syndrome because they penetrate through your stomach layer, go through your stomach lining, and go through the rest of your body. So let's say you're having some liver issues. Yes, these parasites go to your liver also. Say for instance, you have some heart issues. Yes, these parasites can go to your heart. So what I'm saying to you is, you're looking at all of this as different problems. Oh, I have stomach problems. I also have some liver problem. I also have some heart problem. Well, what if I tell you that all of these things are connected? And when I say are connected, could it be the same parasite that's going from your stomach to your liver to your heart at different stages at its life? Like when it's a kid, it goes to your stomach. When it's a teenager, it goes to your liver. And when it's an adult, it goes to your heart, and so on. And don't forget, as an adult, I have to lay eggs and have more kids. So the eggs end up somewhere different also. So what I'm saying is, parasites is more of a big problem than we think. Having problems losing weight lately? You go to bed, and even though you had 10 hours of sleep, you're still waking up like, man, I need something else, man. I'm still tired. Do you find yourself around in the nighttime craving more sweets? And it went from you getting a cake and you were able to eat one slice of the cake, now you're eating up the whole cake and then want another cake? That could be parasites. It might not be you. Do you have mental capacity issues as far as brain fog? That could be a parasite. Do you have issues, cognitive issues like remembering stuff? That could be a parasite. So parasites are bigger than we think they are, especially if you have pets. Let me tell you about this. Do you know that you have a tapeworm for a dog? Do you know that a pig have its own tapeworm? Do you know a cow have its own tapeworm? Do you know a cat have its own tapeworm? So, do you know that fish have its own tapeworm? Why do you think the Japanese people recommend that you have to be certified in order to make sushi? Because knowing the knowledge that they know with the parasites, they're going to put things in place so the person that is preparing this meal don't end up putting the parasites in that sushi. And yes, by the way, most people that eat sushi have parasites, either roundworm or tapeworms. Tapeworms is usually one of the most frequent ones that's in people's body. And that's one of the biggest ones, that's one of the longest lasting, and so on. Yes, you have protozoa, yes, you have liver fluke, yes, you have different bacteriums, different fungus, different mold coming through the air. So it's everywhere. And let me just say this. Whenever you find yourself having parasites inside of you, you have good flora and what is called, some people call it bad flora. But the good flora usually is more in the body than the bad one, and they keep the bad one in check. Now peep this. If the bad one, on the other hand, gets to grow more than the good one, and the good one dies off, now that spells problem for you. But when you have the good one in more numbers than the bad one, then you will end up with good health, because that good one will keep the bad one in check. So what am I saying? I'm saying if something is coming into your system that easily, to where it can affect you in a way where it's bringing your health down, one of the things you need to check is your immune system to see how high or how low it is. Why? Because usually when something comes into your system that don't belong there, the immune system say, whoa, send somebody over there to go investigate that. When they send somebody over there to go investigate it, then what they do is send out some troops to go take care of that, or send some warning systems in your body to go take care of that. So don't despair. There are still answers for all these things. You can get rid of them depending on what it is, how it's acting, all of that. Sometimes you might get rid of the parent, but you don't get rid of the children because you use something for worms that did not get rid of the eggs or the hatchlings, the larvae. So there are answers for this. It's not difficult answers, but you have to at least first realize that you have a parasite. Why? Do you know that these things can ruin your life? Literally? Do you know parasites can get you addicted to drugs? Do you know that parasites can have you eat yourself to unhealthiness? Do you know that parasites can have you have suicidal thoughts in your head? Do you know that parasites can give you indigestion? Do you know that parasites can cause you to be infertile? Do you know parasites can cause you to go down? Yes. Do you know that parasites can give you mental issues? Like cognitive, more than cognitive issues. Like you're going crazy type of thing. These things are more involved in our lives than we think they are. And because people is not putting this subject where it really belongs in your health, most people is not thinking about it. Do you know that parasites cause cancer? Sounds crazy, right? A lot of those liver cancers is because of a bacterial infection that end up being cancer. A lot of these cancers, from my experience, go talk to your doctor. I am not giving medical advice. What I am doing is giving my own experience. Do you know that most cancer actually starts off in a bacteria phase? And whenever it graduates, it ultimately graduates to being a fungus and end up being cancerous? Think about what I just said. What is the difference between a mold on you that is benign or cancerous? Look at the microorganism in that thing, and you will be able to tell. See that long line of train? Let's say that is a tapeworm, and you cut that train in 4 different parts. You cut the tapeworm in 4 different parts. Now you have 4 tapeworms inside of you. That's another thing that these parasites can do. They can multiply in your system very, very easy, and it's hard to kill them if you don't know what it takes. So some people think they have cancer when they actually have a parasite or an infection. What is HIV or AIDS? It's a parasite. It's an infection. It's an infection that attacks your immune system, but nevertheless, it's one of them. People probably don't think about it like that, but that's what it is. Now, when I say that, a lot of people would look at me crazy, like, how could a parasite be a bacteria, a fungus, a mole? Well, my answer to that would be, have you ever heard of the Human Genome Project lately? Have you ever read the studies and see what it really is? And how they find out that most of us that thinking we're humans, we have more foreign bodies inside of us than human cells? What does that mean? That means we're made mostly of bacteria, fungus, mold, viruses, and so on. Not human cells. We have anywhere from 30 to 40,000 genes. We also have more than 30 to 40,000 different type of microbes inside of us. We're an ecosystem. And you know, when you see a woman and she have a breast, she have a different microbe inside of that breast when the breast is healthy. When that breast now, on the other hand, become very unhealthy, it changes and goes to the bad one. Remember, I tell you, the good one keep the bad one in check. So the good one is more prevalent in the healthy breast because they keep the bad one in check. And it's the opposite way around. Whenever you're sick, it's the bad one that is more in check. So another thing is, along with that is an estrogen boost in your body, which is related to all of these things also. Because if you find yourself to be cancerous, then you more than likely is estrogen dominant. There's a lot to this. Because when it's all said and done, your body is a computer that controls its own chemistry. And if you don't know how to keep your body alkaline, and you're always acidifying your body, you're always eating all the bad stuff, you're always putting the chemicals in, you're always putting it in, but you're not taking it out, guess what you're doing? Not only are you lowering your immune system, but you're also boosting the chance for you now to get sick. And once you start getting sick, it's easy for these parasites to get inside of you. You can get them through your food. You can get them through the air. You can get them by climbing a tree. You can get them in your skin. Malaria, that mosquito that bites you and give you. It's a parasite. It's also a microbe. So not necessarily saying that all microbes are bad, but you have the good in nature and you have the bad in nature. Unfortunately, living in this chemical world, we're always trying to, quote unquote, eat good, end up eating with all these chemicals inside of us and lowering your immune system. When you start lowering your immune system, that's when you open yourself up for everything to come in. If your immune system was strong, how would AIDS be able to affect you? How would it be able to attack your immune system? Please explain that to me. If your immune system was strong. So that means your immune system had to be compromised already. And what's the number one thing in this modern world, in this big buildings and all this environment, all of this, what is one of the number one things that allow you to mess up your immune system? I have two number ones. And now it might even be three. Stress is one of my number ones. Electromagnetic radiation is another one of my number one. because it's all around us. It's hard to get away from. Even this phone in my hand is giving that out right now. And the third one, environmental factors like chemicals or heavy metals that's in the air that you're breathing in, that's going on your skin, that's going inside of you, that's in the water you drink, that's in the food. Those are my three number ones, because I cannot pick which one have more of a chance to do things, because they're all so prevalent that it's hard to get away from these things. So it's easy for you to lower your immune system. It's also easy to boost your immune system. Now, like I said on my previous video, my method of doing things is take out the bad, keep out the bad, put in the good. That's a win-win situation to me. You can't go wrong like that. Now, is it a possibility that I can have a strong immune system and still have things attack me? Yes. But your body was made to fight. That's the reason why whenever you're getting the flu, you start feeling the warning signs first, the achoo, the sniffling, the sneezing, the scratchy throat. Then you start getting the loss of appetite, then you start getting the chills and the cold. Why? Because your body now says, let me kick into the gear where I need to be at. And it starts raising the temperature to now going from 98.6 to even 102 and 103 sometimes. Why? Because it needs to make that environment uncomfortable for that parasite to be in order to heal itself. That's the way the body takes care of everything. Now, you have different levels of parasite, where sometimes the body cannot create a heat to kill it because that's not how it dies. But on the other hand, that's where food comes in, and food is so important. No, I did not say medicine. I said food. Because most people don't know that a lot of spices, let's say now allspice, cloves, those will get rid of a lot of parasites. It's a spice, it's a food, it's something that you eat. But what if you keep those out of your diet? What about garlic? What if you eat garlic all the time and now you go to the bathroom and you're seeing worms? Oh my God, whoa, I didn't even know I had that. What about that? Well, what about if you keep garlic, clove, and the other one, allspice, out of your diet, but you have parasites that you did not know about? What if it was literally just that simple? Because it is. Now, why am I saying that? You can go to websites that the scientists go to, look up the research for yourself, see the antimicrobial properties. When I say antimicrobial, I mean antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic. All of these properties that these natural things have. Why? Because just like we, as humans, have biochemical makeup, so does the plant. Just like we get sick, so does the plant. Just like we have an immune system, so does the plant. And my Creator made it possible that when I get some of these plants, I will automatically recognize, or my body will automatically recognize the compounds that the plant have, take them, convert them into what I need to, and use them for health benefits. It's not just to get rid of parasite. Some of the benefits could be pain management. Some of the benefit could be energy. Some of the benefit could be good for keeping your heart strong, healthy. Some of the benefits could be a good digestion. Some of the benefit could be cognitive function because it promotes circulation. Food? Yes, food. Now, when I say food, what do I mean? Do I mean a food product? Do I mean a derivative of food? No. My best way to explain this, again, use the train as an example. So you see all those bodies of the train, right? Let's say one piece of that train would be the original food, like corn. But let's say all those bodies, those different parts of the train, is cornflakes, which is not 100% corn. It's corn and different ingredients. It's got salt, it's got sugar, it's got paste to glue it up together, it's got coloring, and so on. So now when you're eating cornflakes, it's not food, it's a food product. So you're not gonna get the benefits as if you was eating the food, because you're only eating a food product. And by the way, when you're eating a food product, in order to keep the shelf life, or to keep the food longer, you need a chemical preservative. When you get a chemical preservative in your body, what does it do? Lower your immune system. A lot of the times, they have food coloring in those food. So cut me off with the food coloring. A lot of the times you will have digestion issues for that same food that is not natural food. Whether it's a GMO, something that was created in the laboratory, and now they bring it out here and say this is the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. What food am I talking about? I'm talking about you have food that God made, and you have food that man made, and you have food that machine makes. I am talking about the God made, because your body recognizes that. For instance, whether it's weed, whether it's marijuana, whether it's hemp, those three plants are pretty much the same thing with different ranges. But your body have receptors called endocannabinoids. And those plants have cannabinoids. So when you eat that plant, when you take that plant and boil some tea, you get the cannabinoids into your body that they connect in your body through the endocannabinoids, and now that act as an antioxidant to start boosting your energy, help for digestion, brain cognitive function, good for joint, good for heart, good to keep your stress level down, keep depression down, anxiety down, and the list goes on. Help to boost your appetite, fights cancer. Why? Because our system already have the receptors inside of us for the plants naturally. But are you eating these things on a regular basis? Or are you just doing it once in a blue moon and say it failed, it don't work, so you're just gonna go back to drugs? And by the way, drugs are made up of plants. They just put a whole bunch of chemicals and all these things inside the drugs. So don't be fooled by that. Go 100%, you can't go wrong. Like for instance, you short with the short-term memory? When's the last time you ever had some rosemary or some rosemary tea? When's the last time? Never? Well, this might be a good time to try some of that natural stuff, because when I'm telling you, these things is what we've been using for thousands of years. If they didn't work, why would we still be around? You see how fast these pharmaceuticals are killing people in their 20s and 30s and 40s? You never used to hear nothing about somebody eating garlic for 20 years and now they're dead. You never used to hear anybody eating flour for 30 years and now they're dead. This is just a recent thing. That's because they're playing with the foods. And by the way, these foods that I'm telling you about that are GMOs and have chemicals in them, they also usually have the fungus, the mold, and all of these bacterias that don't agree with your system, but they can survive on that because that is very acidic food. And when you get that in your system, you just transfer that with the chemicals and the impurities into your system. So what I want you to do is let that marinate. This is a young man, your neighborhood herbalist, asking you the question, are you really in control of your emotions? Or is there something inside of you causing you to act this way and you don't have any way to find out? Well, there's many things that could cause these things to happen inside of you, and it would be a good idea for you to find out for your own self. A lot of the times the doctors are not going to be able to diagnose these things. What they're going to do is they're going to give you some drugs because they get a part of the profit. So it's within their interest to give you these things, and they'll tell you come back a month or two later. They don't even hardly call up and check upon you, see how the stuff is working, and nothing. So aren't you tired of that way? Don't you want to try the new way? Don't you want a new package? Don't you want to supersize your deal that you have? You know, you was going with the cheap package before. Don't you want a better package to where you have more options and so on? It's been here ever since we've been around. You're just not using it. You just decide that you want to believe in man more than you believe in the Creator. So you'll get that result. And until you change, your situation will never change with these parasites. This is a real big topic. Anywhere from 80 to 95 people on this planet, on the whole planet, have parasites. And it's killing them. It's allowing them to live a life of agony and suffer. Are you tired of that? And do you want to get rid of that? For right now, this is your neighborhood herbalist. I had to come out in nature to let you guys know. Yeah, it might look beautiful, but it's more dangerous than you think. You have dog feces out here. You have dead animal carcass out here. You have different stuff that's falling from the trees. Make sure your immune system is up. Until then, we over and out.